the biggest entrepreneur platform on the planet. This is Business Rockstars. We are the biggest entrepreneur platform on the planet. Welcome to Business Rockstars. I've got two rock stars for you today. We've got Betty Morin and Yin Go. They are the co-founders of Primitive Feast. Thank you so much for stopping by and chatting.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, if you could start by telling us, what is Primitive Feast?
Sure. So Primitive Feast is a line of healthy frozen entrees. We wanted to take sort of all the bad stuff out of frozen food. It is gluten-free, soy-free, dairy-free. We have no added sugar, no preservatives. We use organic chicken, grass-fed beef, and really good quality, clean ingredients to give you a good, and lots of bold flavors.
Awesome. Yes. I'm definitely your market because I love good, healthy food, but I don't always love the preparation process. So I'm super intrigued. How did you come up with the idea, and how did you really make it a reality?
Well, Betty and I, along with our other business partner, we were in a CrossFit gym together. So there was a nutritional challenge that we took, and we started really reading labels on prepared foods, because we were on this very strict sort of no sugar, no carb diet or low carb diet. And when we started reading the labels, we were just really shocked to see, you know, how many artificial ingredients are in prepared foods and how much sugar is in everything. And
what they'll actually have a label as being healthy, but then you look at the ingredients and all of that, and it's like not so much.
Yes.
And to be frank, you know, most of it didn't taste very good. And so we spent a lot of time cooking for ourselves, and we would spend an entire weekend doing meal prep for the week.
For us and our friends.
And we thought, you know what, there is a gap here to be filled. And I've always loved to cook, and Betty as well. And so we thought, hey, maybe we should think about starting a business.
So you had this brilliant idea. You knew there was a market for it. How did you actually start it and make it a reality?
Well, we started doing little pop-ups with our family and friends, and we thought, okay, this is going well. People were reacting very favorably to the food.
And when you say little pop-ups, would you host little dinners, or what did that look like?
Yeah, we hosted dinners for
100 people?
Yeah, 100 people.
Yeah. So more than little dinners.
Yes.
Yeah, big dinners.
Yes.
Okay, so you would make your recipes in mass for about 100 people, test it out, see if they liked it at first?
Yep. And then we decided that we should go into a farmer's market. So we thought farmer's markets would give us an opportunity to get feedback from customers, would give us a chance to see if people really like the food, if they would buy the food.
Test the price points.
And then if they would come back and buy it again. And so we started actually Melrose Place was our first farmer's market in West Hollywood, just over 3 years ago. And then we moved into Brentwood and Pacific Palisades. And
today we're in grocery stores.
If you could tell me a little bit about your work background and the industries that you each came from.
Well, I came from a finance background. I worked for many years in corporate treasury, managing cash and doing risk management, currency hedging, that sort of thing. And then I moved into more of an analysis role. So I worked for a consulting firm where I did some sell-side M&A work. So I have zero culinary experience or background.
You heard it from her. You don't need any culinary experience.
But when we started getting really serious about this company, I quit my day job, and I actually worked for about 6 months as a prep cook in a catering kitchen just to learn my way around.
Interesting.
So I spent 6 months washing lettuce, washing dishes.
And was that a good decision?
It was an excellent decision, I think.
And what about you? What's your background?
So I spent the last 12 years working for an entrepreneur who produced global music events. So I come from entertainment and production, and he also was an early stage investor. So I was fortunate to be able to learn a lot about startups and through him and through all of his investments. I managed all of his investments. And so it gave me just kind of an eye into what was going on in the startup world and got me familiar with it. And then I was able to it gave me the courage, I think, to take the leap and go into starting my own business. And I think it's really been useful. The entertainment world moves a little faster than the food world, so I've had to adjust my expectations a little, but it's good. It's exciting, and I think it was good that we approached this without knowing the food world. I think it's helped us.
Given the industries you've come from and your work history, what has it allowed you to bring to the table at this company, and what's kind of the role that you're playing within it?
Well, I think it's given us probably the ability to look at the market differently, and we really knew that we had to be innovative in the food space, and we've spent a lot of time building up our social media and really focusing on how we're going to grow the business, not just by going into grocery stores, which we're very focused on, but also how can we sell it online? How can we work with influencers and social media and really get the word out so that people find out about us and want to try us. And I think a lot of our customers are millennials, so I think that's the way to get to them. So.
Absolutely. Anything you wanted to add to that?
From my perspective, it's also bringing sort of the economic side of it, right? Because when you develop a recipe, it's easy to develop a great tasting recipe if you have unlimited resources. But what do you do when you have a self-funded company, very limited financial resources, very limited human resources? How do you develop, a strategy and in turn your recipes to fit into this cost model? And so I've spent a lot of time thinking about that. How do I make something taste really good, have quality ingredients, but still have that value proposition?
Big question a lot of entrepreneurs have. We're going to talk more about that when we come back. We are the biggest entrepreneur platform on the planet. This is Business Rockstars. We are the biggest entrepreneur platform on the planet. Welcome back to Business Rockstars, where I am continuing my conversation with the co-founders of Primitive Feast. So before we went to break, we talked about how you were starting with a small budget. So you had to work with that, but keep your values of making really good, healthy, tasty food. So if you could speak to that a little bit, you're self-funded up until now. Mm-hmm. How do you work with a small budget but really create a good product?
Well, I think we've really been very conscious about not growing too quickly. I think a lot of companies run into working capital issues because they're pursuing this very aggressive growth. For us, we're fortunate in that what we do is basically a cash business. So we do a small batch production. We go to the markets and we sell our product, and that's how we sort of replenish our
your business. Reinvest.
And we've been able to do this without any external debt. We've been self-funding this for the past 3 years. And we are just now at the point of looking for some strategic investors.
And I know something that was new to you guys, but you've figured it out so far, and that is distribution and how that works and how there's a middleman between you and the grocery store, and you kind of went about it a roundabout way, but a really genius way that's allowed you to grow quickly. Can you tell us that story?
It was actually a cold call.
It was cold call.
And, it was calling and saying, hey, we have this product. We're in farmers markets. We want to go into retail. Will you try our food? And we sent samples, and they tried the food, and they liked it. It was something that they were looking for. So
amazing. So let's break it down even further. Like, when you say that you cold called, did you Google this? Like, where did you get what contact? Like, is it what position within the company? How do you get the phone number?
We actually would bring a bag of samples get in our car, drive to a grocery store and say to a cashier, could we please speak to the manager? And that's really the most effective way of doing it. I mean, I think
Yes.
that's really how we got our foot in the door.
And they would introduce it. They would say, oh, you have to talk to so-and-so at corporate. And
they
we
give
would
you the
call
number.
them and we would send them information and point them to our website. And
I love this
Off we
story
would
so
go.
much. And I've heard similar versions of this story from other entrepreneurs. And I think the reason why it's so effective is it's so easy to just want to email or, really take advantage of technology. But there's something to be said about old school, just showing up in person with your samples that a lot of times can get you where you want to go so much faster.
yes,
Absolutely.
and we do the emailing thing, and we've just discovered that, really going out and doing it ourselves is
Something
much
like that
more
personal
effective.
touch. And in your case, taste. You have to taste it.
And
Right.
it's more, taking action. We can sit at home and send out a ton of emails and just wait for someone to
Right.
email us back, which we found out,
Doesn't work.
one, they don't often email you back. Two, they take forever to email you back. And so we find that it's just so much more effective to show up with product that people can physically see and touch and taste. So I think that, that's how we've been able to get into a retail presence.
We had one retail chain who literally, we went into a grocery store with samples, talked to the manager, he gave us the corporate information, and we called the guy, and literally in about 72 hours, we had spoken to him, sent him our information, brought down samples, he'd tried the samples, and he had said, we want you in our stores immediately. Which is
so
unheard
awesome.
of.
Yeah.
But he was looking for a product like ours, and
You have to have a good market
worked out
fit,
well.
obviously.
yes.
Good timing, good market fit.
One thing that you are considering and looking into is selling online. Can you tell me about that?
So many businesses, so many startups now are subscription-based, and subscription-based products are doing very well. It's something that we're really interested in and looking at. It's a challenge for us because we have a frozen product, so we have to deal with shipping frozen food. And obviously, we need to get that right. So we've lined up some good connections, I think, and we are hoping to. Well, we're looking at launching a subscription model in probably the next few months.
Probably beginning of the year.
Awesome. Well, luckily for me, it's lunchtime and you guys brought lunch, so I
did.
cannot wait to try it. Ladies, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your amazing story with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Alex.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We are the biggest entrepreneur platform on the planet. This is Business Rockstars.